Thanks to Reed Corporate and Mine News for putting on the conference, for everyone listening in. So, a bit about myself. Geologist. Prior to Gateway, I've been here for about 2 years. Prior to that, I was with Doré Minerals from almost the start through to its takeover by Silver Lake in 2019. That was pretty exciting. Involved in the discovery and development and operation of 2 gold mines and building a gold miner, which is a pretty good thing. Before that, I spent about 10 years with Harmony Gold, one of the big South African companies working Kalgoorlie and also up in PNG. And actually, prior to that, Derek, I spent about a couple of years working for your dad, which I never realised. So there you go. But I guess the thing was, when I come out of Doré and I was looking for the next thing to do, was looking for 3 sort of things in a company, and primarily the first was the project. Had to be a great project with plenty of potential. The second was the people that were involved and making sure they were, really all onto the right page and pushing it forward with the right intentions. And the third was the shareholder base and, good supportive shareholders and really aligned with the company. And in Gateway, I think, ticks all 3 boxes, and hopefully you can sort of show that now. But the thing with Gateway, it's been around for a long time. Company listed some way back in the 70s, but prior to a couple of years ago, it was always based on the East Coast. It was focused on New South Wales, Queensland. And the company was really reset back in 2017, 2018. Those projects elsewhere were all divested, and really it was turned into a WA-focused gold explorer and really focused on this Gidgee gold project. So we've got about 1,000 square k's at Gidgee. It's a substantial land package. We've got some resources there already under 5 old pits, which were mined by Herald Resources back in the late 80s, early 90s. And then we've been doing a lot of work recently, managed to be systematically drilling this project, and really what we're trying to do is develop this project by sort of this core area at Montague and just systematically testing all these targets, developing them, adding them onto our resource base to grow the overall project. So what's the opportunity with Gateway? Well, really with Gateway, we've got a great project, and we've been able to, because of a big capital raising we did back in July last year, to just systematically drill, consistently drill and develop these prospects. And really that's the key. We haven't been just chasing the high-profile intersections for the next capital raising. We've really been looking about building the project and taking it forward. So this approach we've taken, we've got the existing resources there under a couple of the old pits that were mined in the 80s and 90s, 240,000 ounces there, and we've been doing a lot of work on extending them. We've been applying that knowledge to looking for new discoveries in the local area, and we've been successfully doing that. And then we're also developing this next generation of targets to continue this approach over time and keep bolting on. So where we are is focused around what used to be called the old Montague Mine, so mined by Herald, I mentioned. It's a classic sort of geological setting for the geos, granite into a mineralised shear zone. But really what we can see there from that diagram is that to date, a lot of the drilling that was done, which was prior to Gateway pretty shallow and ineffective, was all around the 5 old pits that were mined, and that was, they're all located on the margin of that granite intrusion, and that's pretty important from a geological point of view in WA. And really what we've been doing is systematically working away from that and showing that there's a lot of gold in this system, and the more that we keep working, the more we keep exploring, we're finding it. So our overall strategy, I sort of mentioned in a nutshell, so we've got our existing resources, which we've been working on and consolidating. We've been getting some new resources, new discoveries. We're currently in the process of doing maiden resource estimates on these, and that's about to be released with a mineral resource update in the December quarter. And then we've also been systematically developing this next generation of targets, and then longer term, we've got a lot more to come as well. So this is a continuous process that we'll be engaged in over time. So these recent work we've been doing on upgrading our resource estimate. First, we've been doing a fair bit of work at Montague Boulder, one of our existing resources, systematically drilling this resource, infilling around the higher grades, extending it along strike, and also, as those couple of cross-sections demonstrate there, showing that there's repeats of this structures below the existing resource. So real potential to expand on this resource within the existing footprint, but also we're hoping to upgrade some of those inferred resources into indicated as well. So that's underway at the moment, that process. I mentioned before a new discovery that we made. Really this is from the learnings of that drilling at Montague Boulder. So this is continuing to follow that same geology north from the pit, around the margin of that granodiorite. We sort of saw that the existing drilling there was pretty ineffective and shallow, the stuff that was done in the mid-80s. So we went through the RC rig and were able to follow the structure north, and lo and behold, about 1.5 kilometres north, we got onto what we now call Evermore. So there's a new discovery, never been mined. We're in the process of estimating its maiden mineral resource. You can see it's about 800 metres of strike that we've defined it over. The northern 400 metres is drilled on about 40 by 40 metres. The southern 400 is a bit more wide space and about 40 by 80 metres, 40 by 100 metres. But again, we're going through this process of adding resources to the overall project inventory, and this is a key step. The other one is Achilles. Again, this is a new discovery. We started drilling this back in 2019, early 2020. It's directly along strike from the old little Rosie pit there, which was mined in 1993. That's a little oxide pit. All we really did is just continue to drill this oxide zone along strike. So you can see there about 400 metres north of that Rosie pit, we've systematically drilled it. The mineralisation there, importantly, is all oxide zone hosted. So it's shallow, starts from almost just below surface, some decent widths, and it continues along strike. And we've just completed a recent RC program last week, which has drilled the next 200 metres of that system north. So about 600 metres, just over 600 metres, we've drilled that. Just the top 60 metres in the oxide zone, and those data will be getting utilised in the coming month or so to upgrade or put a maiden mineral resource on Achilles as well. The last one we've been working on from a resource point of view is a little airport. This is just sort of south of Achilles, and this was actually a discovery made by Gateway back in about 2002 when they were here doing a bit of work, and really we've just gone through, and again it's another shallow oxide zone hosted deposit, 20 to 30 metres below surface, some decent grades there. Not a huge strike length, but again it just adds to that overall project inventory of oxide resources. And the key here, as we can see from that diagram, is everything we've been doing and everything we're focused on is sort of within 5 kilometres of those existing resources. So that's really what the key is just continuing to develop these targets and bring them forward all within this 5 kilometre radius. So what are the next steps beyond those resources? Well, it's continuing to build this pipeline and doing this with this disciplined approach, all within that 5 kilometre radius, and really continuing to add to that overall pipeline, that overall target development. So Cashmere, this one here is quite exciting. This is on the eastern side of the granodiorite, so really it's not really been explored to date. You can see just off our tenement boundary to the south there is the Howards deposit, which is owned by our neighbours, Horizon Gold. That's 200,000 ounces in the ground. And then no work had been done north of that tenement boundary. So we did a soil sampling program there back in 2019 and then defined this big 2.5 kilometre long anomaly. We went back last year and did 2 1 kilometre spaced RC lines there, hit bedrock hosted gold, 2 metres at 8 and 1 metre at 9, really giving us the confidence that structure keeps going up into our ground. So we'll come back there and complete some pretty systematic exploration there. We'll start late this year, late November, early December, and then again continue on. That's some of the results that Horizon Gold got recently out there. So it shows the type of mineralisation, good thick zones of mineralisation close to surface, and we're going to see it continue onto our ground hopefully. And really the key with Cashmere as well is it opens up the whole 8 kilometres of margin, or the eastern margin of this granodiorite. So longer term, it's really important in terms of the overall development of this target area. Monarch, another target we're working on and pretty excited about. So this is again within that 5 kilometre radius. It's about 1 kilometre east of Cashmere we were just talking about. This is a new target. There's a heap of old workings out there from the 1930s, pretty substantial ones too. Stopes coming up to surface, about five shafts and a bit of an old head frame still there. Amazingly, when we look through the data, there'd only been 5 shallow RC holes drilled there by Herald in 1985, less than 50 metres deep. Intersected, mineralisation below these shafts. Unfortunately, the data we've got at the moment isn't JORC compliant, so we can't sort of release those numbers, but did get it. But we went out there and covered it with soil sampling, similar to the approach we took elsewhere, to find this big anomaly, nearly 6 kilometres long, and the guys were out there walking around, investigating what was going on, taking rock chips, and you can see from those numbers we've got rock chips of nearly 19 grams per tonne at surface out there. Big anomaly, no exploration in the past. This is an exciting target for us. Bigger picture, it's a big project, 1,000 square kilometres as I mentioned. We've been doing a bit of work recently while we've been undertaking this resource upgrade. So we completed a 22,000 metre air core. That was on a couple of new targets, again still within this 5 kilometre radius, but at Plymouth and Julia's there. We released the first results from Plymouth last week, which was pretty exciting from a first pass drilling point of view. We got anomalous saprolite mineralisation there, again in the oxide zone. We're still waiting on those Julia's results, which will hopefully be out soon. We've just completed a 4,000 metre RC program at the northern end of Achilles, just infill drilling that resource, extending it another 200 odd metres north, and then also a bit of work around the northern end of Evermore towards Whistler. So those assays are in the lab. The results are still awaited, and really with the way that labs are working in WA at the moment, we're probably not going to see them until about mid-November. But by that stage, we'll be looking to start drilling again at Cashmere, and also we'll have our resource upgrade coming as well. Beyond that, beyond this sort of small area we've been looking at, as I mentioned before, it's a large project. It's Gateway's sole focus. And to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about here, so that area we've just been looking at, that 5 kilometre radius, is that yellow box. So yes, there's a lot of work for us to do and to systematically develop those targets within that 5 kilometre radius, but longer term, there's plenty more to do, and there's plenty of gold in the region. The old Gidgee gold project in the middle of our tenement packages there, produced over 1 million ounces of gold. There's plenty of gold being produced on our side of the border there, and then there's a lot of strike of unexplored ground. It's really escaped at least one cycle of the gold price since Gidgee was shut down in 2005, and so for the last 20 years it's pretty much sat there. So this is a real opportunity longer term for Gateway shareholders to continue to grow this project and develop it. So a bit of a brief corporate summary. We're capped at about 32 to 36 million, depending on the share price movement. End of June, we had about $3.6 million in the bank. And importantly there, in the little asterisks, we through this divestment process, we've gone